I'm going to talk about how language can be a bridge to employment and in general to get introduced to the society. First, I'm from UCplus, and it's a Danish language center. It's a private center, and we are situated a bit around in Denmark. Now, today, I'm representing Roskilde, but actually, I work in Copenhagen mostly. So, we have these contracts with the 13 municipalities, and in Denmark, it is the municipalities who are responsible of the Danish courses. And they do tenders, mostly they do tenders, and we had, well, 13 of these tenders. This is the model of teaching Danish in Denmark. So it is that we have the 3 different kind of educations: Danskuddannelse 1, 2, and 3. And the first one is if you need to learn the letters, the alphabet. The second one is mostly for people who have school up to 12 years of school, and the third one is for academics. It is in general because it's a test we do for each coming to the school, and they get into one of these levels. So in total we have these 17 levels. So it is quite institutionalized, and it is a total program, and it takes a few years, 1.5, 2 years to complete a program. It is for free. It is paid by the government or the municipality, but they're subsidized by the government. And it is limited, so there's a time limit for each module, but there's time enough if people stay in the program. So it is actually totally for free. Until you can get into universities where it's taught in Danish at universities. This is the C1 level, so it's entirely free. Well, to teach Danish in the school, in the language school, it requires that you have quite an education. So it is quite professionalized. You need a bachelor degree in the language study, and you need further education to be specialized in Danish as a second language. So these are the courses that you need, and there's been a development for this. So if you look quite some years back, then it was just a very short course, and now it has been put into laws that you need to have this education. And you can only teach for 1 year without it, and you need to enter to the specialization of the teaching. This is a short historical view of how Danish lessons were taught. Well, in the 70s, there were no laws about how to teach Danish, and it was more like a foreign language. So today it is more professionalized, and in the beginning it was like we have refugees coming, there were some labor forces coming, and there was a need to develop how to approach the language. So in the beginning, the idea was that if you we had like a language shower. If people were exposed to a lot of Danes and got into a working force or into the working market, then they would automatically learn the language. And today we know that that is not the case. There's been quite a lot of studies on this, that if you see a transcription, you can see that they just said yes, no, and like A, or so they didn't really learn to use the language. Well, this is a generalization, but it got more into that when you teach Danish, you need to communicate, and to learn languages, you need to use the language and to have an active use of the language. So it has changed a bit, and as well, the program has changed because we had some refugees and family reunification students coming, And there was this need for the integration. And in the 1999, we had the integration law, where everybody who wanted benefits, they needed to work, and they needed to learn the language. So they needed to be available as a labor force. And in Denmark, when you want to receive benefits, well, you need to be, you need to work. I mean, you need to be disposable for a job, and you need to be job seeking. And this is quite into the system of the Danish language learning as well, that we help to how to find jobs and get introduced to society. So today, we don't have that many refugees. We have, of course, Ukrainians, but otherwise there are not that many refugees coming. Today we have a major need for international labor, and there's so many from the south of Europe, but from Nepal, India, Pakistan coming, and they need to learn the language. And today we are taught that it is taught more in like a meaningful communication approach. That they need to use the language. They need to be able to use it at work and in their private sphere as well. So it has changed a bit during the years, and it has been professionalized. And the approach to how to learn a language has changed quite a bit. This is to show a bit about what is taught and how is it taught. So this is more like the traditional approach that is into the program. And during the years, it has been more and more to use the language. It has been about producing language. And not to be fluent. I mean, but it is not important to correct every phrase. It is important to use the language to memorize it. So today we have the focus as well on how to approach a language by using your mother tongue, or if you have a second or a third language that you have learned as an adult, then there are some techniques to use this approach when you learn the new language. It's translanguaging technique. So the methods that I used today is to use authentic materials as much as possible, and to do authentic situations. It is to use task-based learning, and task-based learning, so it's like problem solving, to discuss how to solve a specific case. And it is about cooperative learning, so you need to do group work, and you need to collaborate and use the language and produce language. And it is as well to use inclusive methodologies and pedagogy. Oh, that was a hard one. So it means that the teacher shouldn't be speaking. It is the students that need to speak and be active. And the teacher needs to ask him or herself, so what am I teaching? And how will I teach it? And why am I teaching this? So always be reflective about the approach and how you want to build up your teaching. So again, meaningful communication is the way to remember a language. The language as it needs to be learned together with working, we need to be quite flexible as a language school. So we go into companies, and we go into schools like universities, and also online, of course. So we try to be flexible in the content, in the time, and in the place. In the content, it is mostly to see if there's a need of learning a technical language. So like before I showed the module, but the students who are on Danskuddannelse 2, in the middle who have up to 12 years of education. They they sometimes need a professionalized Danish as well. So we teach the technical Danish together with the approach of culture and well, all the rest in the program. We see ourselves as a partner to the companies, that we need to be able to know and understand the needs in the companies and also the needs for the municipalities. So the municipalities, they need the refugees and the immigrants to work, and the companies, they need employees and they need skills. So this is where we come up, that we need to combine the language teaching and to make skilled workers. And we try to teach as much as possible what is relevant. So the students, they bring into the lessons what they need to know, what they need. It can be vocabulary, or it can be instructions, or maybe some cases like if they, well, yeah, basic words and instructions for their working life. And we teach as well the companies how to approach the immigrants, and how to teach, well, not teach language, but how to work together, and well, some of these issues that you have been talking about during the days, as a kind of a mentorship as well. So this is a model of what we combine in the teaching. So we teach like ordinary Danish, and by this I mean the normal in the integration program with like housing and the culture and family structures, and all this are the cases within the ordinary program. We also teach labor market-oriented Danish, I call it. It's like the culture in companies and the labor structure in Denmark. Where can I find jobs? Where are the needs, and what are the needs for me? How do I need to be skilled? And we teach the industry-specific Danish if it's needed, and we try to know the goal for each student, if they need it for a job, or if they need it maybe just for the citizenship, or whatever they because we have lots of students who have studies in English. We have lots of laborers who work in English, and they mostly need it as well for their everyday life in Denmark and for the integration. So together with the Danish teaching, they work, and if they don't work, they are in an internship, or they are searching for either an internship or a job. And this is from the entire beginning of their stay in Denmark, and the entire beginning of the teaching. So it's a parallel system where the job is integrated into the Danish teaching, and the Danish teaching is integrated into the job. This is how we approach when we need to teach at a company. The first one is the company. So we go out and we observe the work processes, and we map the professional language and the communication needs. And we collect all this and make a specific language packages. We also bridge for education, so we study the curriculum of a profession, and observe and collect and do interviews with the teachers and the staff from the schools, and to professionalize the teaching, so they will have skills for joining the educational system afterwards. So this is a case for a bus driver. We actually have a school where it is an entire language school just for bus drivers. So when they arrive, we can make a contract with a company and teach them what they need to pass the exams in Danish, because that's needed, that it is in Danish. So this is one case. The other case is from the laundry service, where the teacher, she's at the company, and she helps with the instructions and the specific vocabulary. This is a project for refugees. It's a few years ago. We had this project in a hospital about hospital cleaning, where the refugees, they were having internships, and the hospital had mentors, and we were mentors as well, and they learned this specific hospital cleaning Danish. And it worked very well. It was 37 hours a week at the hospital, so it had quite good results. We had 75% getting into some kind of payment, and some of them were into ordinary jobs afterwards. So that was quite a success. We also do bridge building. This is an example of how to bridge to education. So they study the curriculum of the education within healthcare, and we have books made by doctors together with language specialists that we are using for this program as well. Well, just a few considerations. What works? It needs to be authentic. I think I've said it now a few times. And there needs to be a clear objective for the teaching. So if there's good job opportunities, then it's quite good as well, because it makes sense. You have this meaningful language learning, and then you need to activate the participants needs to be activated and feel responsible for the learning. It can be tricky to find the balance between everyday language and professional language, because if they lose their jobs, like we heard like yesterday in Sweden, then what are they, do they need another professional Danish? So it is a balance about everyday Danish and professional Danish. There's a job of establishing collaborations with other professions, but it is very important to do it. And then the volume, when we work in companies, then it is a bit complicated sometimes with the volume. And maybe they have different levels of Danish. Well, this is just my last slide, and it's just to say, like some of you said already, that socializing is very important. It is very important to have a network, and this is what we do as well in the language school. So it's not all about being a professional worker in Denmark. It is also to have fun and to have a network.
Thank you so much, Mette. If I move to Denmark, I will definitely call you, and then I also would like to be part of this Friday hygge. Yeah, sounds very good, but please. So, our second speaker comes from Sweden. Question, sorry. Mette, you have to come back.
I just had a very small question for you. Could you please give an example of what is it that you are teaching when you say, for example, the cleaning ladies that we saw at the hospital? What is it that you are teaching them which is specific for their profession?
It is instructions, it's security, it is technical papers about how to behave. Well, they use quite strong chemicals. They need to know how to approach it, and they need to know the techniques of how to do the cleaning. They need to know about they meet patients when they go into the hospitals. Then they meet some who are at the hospital, and they need to know how to approach and if they should make conversations or not. So all this kind of working place culture, and in general, well, how to to have the job and to fulfill.
I think we have one more question, right, Nis?
Good. Thank you for your presentation. I really like that you underline in several of your slides the use of authentic material. Myself, I'm from an NGO in Sweden. We make authentic news content, mass media content accessible for immigrants. We are using AI so that you can take news articles and you can switch between the authentic content, and then we simplify it down to the language level of the learner. My questions to you was that you didn't touch upon how you use technology in your teaching. So please elaborate on that, please.
Yes. Well, I skipped one slide with this actually. Yes, you saw it. Yeah. The students, they can collect vocabulary and then can use tablets to collect it and make their own dictionary. That's an example of it. But we are not yet professionalized within the AI. It's a development issue. So I think we will. This is the future for us, is to make realistic and authentic situations, and maybe use gamification as well to copy the real world as a training base. I would like to know some of your experiences with it. So I think, yeah.
Thank you so much, Mette. We can take one question after the next presentation as well. I can take the mic and give it to our next speaker, Louise Norstedt, the Deputy Operation Manager at ELVIRA, ABF Stockholm or ABF Stockholm. And she will focus on language training and labor market inclusion in Sweden. The microphone is yours.
Hi everyone. Yes, I am Louise and I work for ELVIRA, which is part of ABF Stockholm, and I'm not sure if this is on. No.
I think you should just speak.
Perfect. So ELVIRA is part of ABF Stockholm, and then at ELVIRA we focus on labor market inclusion. ABF Stockholm is a study association, and actually Sweden has a rich history of study associations. And ABF was actually founded about 100 years ago with the purpose of providing learning opportunities for those who were normally excluded from formal education opportunities. And we have the same spirit today, so we want to provide learning opportunities for everyone and also provide with lifelong learning. Even though today we actually have some formal education within ABF Stockholm as well. And at ABF Stockholm and ELVIRA Kunskapsutveckling, we do different kind of initiatives for immigrants, such as language learning programs, sector-specific language learning programs, and different kinds of labor market inclusion initiatives. And our approach, so just like Mette, we actually do a lot of sector-specific language training programs. We have done so far for the healthcare sector, the construction sector, and also for the service industry. And we work very close with employers and companies and organizations to ensure that our language training program actually meets the demands of the job and labor market. And so those language training programs we provide for organization and for employees, but in addition to that, we also provide different types of language training programs for those who have not yet established themselves on the labor market. And then we have, those programs are usually funded by external funds, from funds such as the European Social Fund and also the country administrative board in Stockholm. And before moving on to illustrating some of our cases, what we have worked with before, I want to share some of the insights that I have gained from working with these language training initiatives. First of all, it's important to acknowledge that immigrants are not a homogeneous group, and they are not also treated as such by the system. So what you can actually access to within Sweden and by the welfare system very much depends on your legal status and also where you are in the migration process. So for example, if you're an asylum seeker, you don't have access to the state-ruled or offered Swedish for immigrants, so SFI, which other immigrant groups does. So that's something you have to take into consideration when offering different types of language programs for immigrants. And another thing is that usually people tend to think that you can actually get by only speaking in English in Sweden. And that's something I've learned that that's actually not really the case from working with the Ukrainian target group, where many of the participants were actually fluent in Swedish, but they couldn't actually access a job, since in fact for most entry-level jobs in Sweden you need to know Swedish. It's actually a requirement. So I'm gonna show you, this is one of the programs we offered actually last year with funds from the County Administrative Board in Stockholm, where we offered a language training program in Swedish that were sector-specific to medical Swedish. And this program was open for individuals from Ukraine under the Temporary Protection Directive. And we asked then we only offered this program for participants that had an educational or professional background in healthcare from their home country. So we opened this program for participants that had been working as nurses, doctors, dentists, and pharmacists back in their home country. And in this program then they were given classes in medical Swedish, but they were also offered practical healthcare training. And in addition to that, they got to meet a career counselor that gave them advice on how to navigate the Swedish labor market within this specific sector. And they were also given the opportunity to meet with a study counselor, so how to navigate on how to access the formal education to gain validation or certificates to, for example, becoming a doctor in Sweden or a nurse, for example. And here are some pictures from our program. So this is the teacher with all of the students, and this is actually a picture from one of our healthcare training sessions. And the program was very appreciated among the participants. In fact, many participants actually took part of this course in addition to taking part of the formal education Swedish for immigrants. And they stated in the end of the program that they felt that they had improved their language skills in Swedish actually very quickly. And many of them went on to go to interviews during this program, and they felt more confident, knowing the vocabulary and so on. As well, they also stated that they felt better equipped to work in the Swedish healthcare system after taking part of this project. And just like you did in Denmark, we actually also offer our language training programs for companies, because we know that even when you have had your job and you start to work, maybe your Swedish is not as advanced as you wish, and many people then have difficulties in having a job, and on the other side attending Swedish for immigrants. So therefore we offer these opportunities for companies to actually offer their employees the opportunity to learn Swedish at their workplace. Then we meet the employees twice a week, and we focus especially then on medical Swedish. And this is not only something very positive for the employees, but also for the employer, the organization, as it can improve their employer branding and also, of course, enhance security and improved patient care. So those are two of our programs, and I'm also going to mention what we do for asylum seekers. So right now we have two different language training programs for asylum seekers, as they are not able to access the formal education. So we have one language training program in Stockholm where you can go to our house and take part of our language training classes. But we also have an online Swedish class for asylum seekers all around Sweden, which is also very appreciated. And we have more types of language programs which you can read more about on our webpage. And also if you have questions, please ask. And I will also answer more about our programs through my email.
I think we can take one or two questions if anyone has any. Yeah, coming.
I have only one question, the same as last. How do you make use of technology in your teaching?
So that's actually something that we also are trying to start to do more, but now we use a lot of AI to actually help us create our course materials and also the content and the schedules and so on. And also for administration, we try to use it, but it's something the staff members of ABF Stockholm are now educated in order to be able to provide more knowledge also for the students in AI.
Yeah, another question?
Thanks a lot. I think it's perhaps not a question, but just I wanted to say thank you for both speakers, because I think, these are two very systematic approaches where we have the system in place. I'm becoming boring with the word system, but I think this is about system. That's why the integration policies are functioning, yeah? But within the system, you have a really, really targeted approach, especially towards the healthcare sector professionals and perhaps education. And I think this is great because that really builds on our panel last day, where in order to address the skilling and foster upskilling, this is exactly what you need. And this is exactly a living example how actually, we should do. It's a sectorial-based approach, but that should be done within the system and the holistic methodology of how people should learn the language. So thanks a lot for this.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for insightful presentation. And And now we have our third and final speaker, Perevičiūtė, Head of Foreigners Integration Unit, Ministry of Social Security and Labor, Republic of Lithuania. Her presentation focuses towards a systematic approach to language training. The floor is yours.
Let's start with the name of this panel or speaker things. What are we doing here? Thinking outside the box, the systematic approach. In Lithuania, we do not have a box yet. So we're not thinking outside it. I'm trying to find the box at this point. Second thing, I'm in love with the Danish language training system, probably because I'm more familiar with it and it's easy for me to understand. No idea how to get there, but we're trying. So, I started the presentation with our to-do list. So we have been working on integration for the last 4 to 5 years. Every time I hear about the integration systems from the Nordics, I keep reminding myself that they had their first laws. At similar time, we had our independence, so we're getting there. So what are we working on already? First of all, mental health, creating the competencies to recognize, to support people, and to have a standard, a toolbox for the frontline workers in order to offer support. Then we have municipality competence building, local policy development, followed by targeted support. So we will be giving finances to the municipalities, to the pilot municipalities, in order to finance targeted support for them to reach the public services and support. We have one-stop information access, so that you could access all the information you need in one website or one phone call. And then we have created a social and cultural introduction program, which is 40 hours long, and we will be presenting it next week. It will be followed by Train the Trainers project, so that the service would be accessible in Lithuania. And then we have language. Language is an issue that I dread every time I sit at the panel, because this is the topic that I'm still I have a hazy vision on what can we do and how do we actually coordinate it. But we've tried things. So, we tried doing it through the employment service. Now, what you have to know, that employment service in Lithuania is a centralized institution. It has regional branches, but it is not under the competence of municipalities, which means that the synergy between the national employment policy and the local policy is not always there. The good thing is that the employment service has the reach of people in the whole country. They have the database and easy access. Their programs are very intense. They are suitable for unemployed persons. If you are a mother who is employed and has 3 children, you will not be able to participate in these trainings because it's impossible to be there at the whole time. At the same time, the funding is limited. It is employment service, which means they are focusing on your professional skills more than on the language skills. And if it's a question of money, then they will send you to the professional skills training, and the language is a second thought for them. They are not interested in the quality of the language training because it is not their function. So it has its pros, it has its cons. Moving to Reception and Integration Agency. The other platform we have, now this is quite a targeted support for refugees. Their target group is only people under international protection, and Ukrainians under temporary protection is not covered by the agency. The good thing about them is that language training there is one of the activities in the individual integration plan. It is a complex of activities which is being drafted for you individually, based on your vulnerabilities, on your potential, on your capabilities. And we have a motivational system, which means that every half a year we evaluate your progress, your motivation, and your financial support is related to that. There's the maximum and the minimum that you can get, and your motivation is an important factor here. The bad thing is they are not covering the whole country. They are not able to cover Ukrainians, which are at this time the majority of refugees in the country. Municipalities. Once the war in Ukraine started, we launched some pilot money for municipalities in order for them to try some early integration activities. Language training was one of them. The good thing is that they can access their residents very easily. The remote municipalities can access this funding. The bad thing is that there are such a big number of providers that we are not able to monitor the quality of the trainings, and we do not have a monitoring system set in place, so we do not have the data, and we can't really evaluate whether it's working or not. But still, it's a venue that we can explore. And then the last pilot project that we had was financed through Nordic funds. And there we went to higher education institutions. All of the universities participated, and Kaunas Kolegija. I'm not sure how to say Kolegija in English. I never know that. It's kind of a college, but college means different things in different countries, but it's a higher education institution. So it was, the reach of the country was quite good in this project because they did remote mobile teams. They could reach more remote municipalities. They have quality of service because it is a formal educational institution, which means they have their requirement. It was a manageable number of service providers, which means that us as the policy developer, we were able to reach them and to express very clearly what we were expecting. So we asked for smaller groups, for more adaptable programs, trainings at employment places, language hours for families where you could reach fairy tales, for example, for children. Language training at employment place. Language training during weekends, mobile teams, language games, and things like that. It's finishing at the moment. There is a buzz around this project that it's working. We have our final conference tomorrow for this project. The only thing that it still lacks is still the monitoring system on how do we evaluate actually if it's working. Then what we do not have is, yes, monitoring, motivational system, that's an issue. And the last thing that I'm afraid of is whether it's actually sustainable. Whether it can be a long-term approach that higher education institutions would dedicate their time for this flexible, adaptable kind of language training. So, where do we go from here? I don't really know. But what we do have is, at least at this time, we have a commitment of the government, which we didn't have before. And it's an action in the governmental program action plan to develop and implement a system for linguistic and socio-cultural integration for foreigners. So that's a good thing. It's a political commitment. It will be carried out one way or another. We have a coordinating ministry, which it took quite a while for us to discuss and decide on which ministry is actually the one coordinating the language policy in the country. So it's the Ministry of Culture. Working group is being established at this time. We're collecting different actors, and we will start work in the upcoming months. And we are analyzing all the pilots and different initiatives that we had, all the pros and the cons, and we're trying to draft a to-do list with clear identification on what we have to work on. For me personally, I think the major factor that is lacking is a coordinating institution, because at this time, I'm not sure who's responsible in the country for language training quality, for monitoring how the foreigners are doing. I'm putting my hopes to the Ministry of Culture that they will think of something. I really don't like establishing new agencies and new institutions, so trying to find something in the system. But yeah, so that's where we're at. In the end, we're still at the starting point of this game. I hope for the Foreign 3.0, I will have something more to tell you about language trainings in the country. Thanks.
Stay. Maybe you will get questions.
I have more questions than answers, so I can ask the questions.
But I have had the opportunity to work with here in Lithuania for some years and have followed what you have been doing at the ministry. I can just admire. I think you have a vision. Laura, you have a box. So I think you will... maybe we should have 4 in 3.0, but with another angle. But do you have any questions to Laura? Yeah, we have one here somewhere.
Hello. I spoke yesterday, and now I understand your questions. Because I don't know all the systems, how they are working in the different countries. I come from Norway, Tromsø, and do you have my question is, do you have like an educational system, or who's in charge of the educational system in Lithuania?
Minister of Education is responsible for the educational system. Their point of view is that they are responsible for the language training for pupils and children, and then the trainings of adults is a bit of a issue that we're not sure who's responsible for that.
Okay, because I'm not a politician, but maybe it's a good idea to try and find something out with the educational system heads, because they have the knowledge about curriculums, how to the European framework for language. Like Mette from Denmark, also in Norway, we follow the different steps in the European framework, and this is also how we test language skills, how far you have reached and what level. This is also a way to monitor if you're having a good effect of the training.
I think the discussion in Lithuania is not resolved because we can't really decide on how do we understand what language training is. At the start, there was a perception that it is a part of integrational process, which means maybe it's under our Ministry, Social Security and Labor, because we are the ones coordinating the integration topic in the country. Then the other perspective is that it is a part of educational system, so maybe Minister of Education should be the one responsible, and they should be the ones carrying the flag. And then we have Minister of Culture, which is responsible for language policy development in the country, for the culture policy development, and then maybe they are the ones responsible. So that's why we have been struggling for quite a while, because we couldn't reach the decision on how do we understand what language is and which ministry should be the one responsible for it. So in a way, we are still using the infrastructure and the institutions of the educational system. Even our last pilot, we're going to the universities and other formal educational systems. And we are using their infrastructure and their requirements for teachers. But who is the one deciding on what do we expect from a foreigner coming into the country? What kind of level language should you speak? What do we offer you as a country? Like, do we offer some free trainings in a period of time? Do we offer it for A1, A2, B1, B2? Do you pay for it yourself? How do we select the programs, and how do we ensure that the program is of a good quality? Do we set a percentage on how many people should go to the test, how many should pass the test? So these are questions that they could be answered by the Minister of Education, but I think it's probably a government kind of decision. It actually goes back to what do you expect from the person coming to the country, and what do you offer him?
So you can get a lot of help from the countries represented here, I think, also. So, but you have started, and it's a very open process.
Thank you. We have one more question. I see two now next to each other.
Showing you that it's time.
Hello. I'm local, I'm Ruta, I'm not a fan of a Ministry of Education, a very not big fan of that ministry. There are much better ministries, including social affairs, in my opinion. But my question is about the working group, because it's a starting process. Who do you think should be, or who do you plan to involve in the process of actually creating the system that you probably have the vision of, but not necessarily in like all the other ministries wanting to work together? And this is not only a ministry thing, right? This is way beyond ministry. So that is the question.
Yeah, you can also give the mic to Nis. Yeah. We can take 2 questions in one go.
Okay, so you said that you have more questions than answers, so I wanted to give you some advice. So when you're building your box of formal education, since I'm from the civic society and focusing on informal language learning, so it's also important to see how the informal language learning can support the formal learning inside that box that you are building at the moment. So that was my advice.
Okay, so with the working group, Ministry of Culture should be the one constructing the working group. We tried once to move forward with the working group, but then this discussion rose up which ministry is responsible, and maybe it's not our ministry, so we didn't carry it through. But we were involving other ministries and then people from the academic world who know language trainings. And we do have partners in UNHCR, in NGOs who are working with refugees, with more sensitive groups, maybe. So we try to involve NGOs in the process as well, just so that we don't really forget any aspect with the building of the box. And regarding the box, yes, we are looking into the civil society as well. When I was talking about the municipalities and their competences, and then there's this financing following the competence building for the municipalities. So we have finances dedicated for targeted support and for early integration or long-term integration measures. So we were thinking that if we reach a level where we have a formal kind of system, then the municipality money should go to language trainings that are more informal. So these are the cafes, the peer-to-peer programs, the social, cultural kind of things. We have not thought about AI yet.
Thank you so much, Laura, and good luck with the future work. A round of applause.